Alrighty. So I am DJ 1029, and this is the first of Talks with 1010. Yeah, this is definitely the first one. This is the first one of Talks with 1029. And I'm already tongue-tied. This is going to be a long road, folks. So on with us today, I have Summore. Am I saying that properly? Summore?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
If you're fancy, you can say it's Summore. We've also heard that. So I wish we would have went that way, but
Well, when you go to Italy, it'll be Summore,
yeah.
That's Summore.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. So, what I wanted to talk about today was you guys have some upcoming shows. You're about to go on tour. And before we get into the exact dates of the tour and things of that nature, just had some general questions for you guys about the band and, your process, just getting to know you guys. So folks that are going to come out and see you on tour kind of get a feel for who you guys are, what you're about, what your music's about, things like that. And hopefully expand your audience with our broadcasting power, with Club Nevermore and the social efforts that I put together. So let's get right into it here, as they say in YouTube land. So when did you guys start making music?
Well, we started making music a very long time ago. I don't know. We were doing it more as like a passion project, just having fun and shared it with friends. And honestly, it's hard to really even count how many years, but
it's been over 10 years since we just started messing around with music. But we had no intention of putting it out because we couldn't play a live show. So we didn't really make it go anywhere. And then over time, we learned how to do these things to be able to put on live shows. And that's when we figured that we could at least start pushing the music out and trying to do shows and that sort of thing.
it was mostly because I didn't know how to play an instrument, and I had to teach myself how to play an instrument.
Well, I mean, that is a common thing that happens with a lot of artists that are out right now. They build everything in a DAW. And, there is an art to that. And it isn't to diminish that particular artist or art form, because I'm playing around with it myself. And wow, there's a lot to it to learn when you get into DAWs and things like that. So much kudos for you guys to be able to develop your sound, because it seems to me like it'd be easier and more physically tangible if you could play the instrument and you could feel it and get a feel for it, rather than having to deal with this interface on your computer that gives you error codes and shuts down on you and has weird problems, that is very cold and impersonal. So anyhow, next thing that I wanted to ask you guys about. So you guys said that you've been doing it for about 10 years or so. In your own words, how would you describe Summore, the music that you guys came to ultimately to start putting out to the world? How would you describe your genre? I hate using genres, but
Yeah. I think if you took The Knife and Nine Inch Nails and like Depeche Mode and you mixed those all together, I feel like you'd have a good kind of grasp on what we do.
But we just call ourselves dark electropop because it's so broad that we could be anything in that,
Yeah, gotcha. And I have no idea. I have not found the email that tells you who is what and what groups, or even what the hell the list of the groups are these days. They make up new ones every day. Okay, so the other thing that we talked about earlier a little bit, whether or not I was pronouncing the name properly, was where does the name Summore come from? Is there a story there?
There is. It's just really anticlimactic, but I'll go for it. One night, we spent a lot of time trying to come up with names, and we basically just hated everything. And one night I was texting back and forth with one of our musical friends, And I said, I'd had a couple drinks, and I said, hey, we're gonna go and make some more jams. And I spelled it like that. And then the more I looked at it, I was like,
Yeah.
I think this is something that we could.
There you
Well,
go.
we were trying to find something that, like, I don't know, communicated like something more than I don't know, more than just like a simple name, but something that had some depth to it that we could find something deeper in it later and build onto it, and it could fit anything, you know. And that's sort of where it was like, yes, that's because we used to have a name a long time ago, but then that was another reason why we didn't really, you know, do anything with the music, is because the name was taken by some, you know, European band, which was fine. So we
Cool.
were like, well, we can't, we got to redo this, you know.
Right.
But to me,
Now,
it means something more, something deeper,
all right.
you know.
Okay. So it's kind of a truncation of something more in a way.
Mhm.
Gotcha. And now I'm curious, what was the original name? You got to tell us now.
It was Dayfly.
Dayfly.
Yeah. So it's like, I guess it's like an insect that only lives for a very short period of time, but you know, it tries to make the most of its life while it is there.
You got a day. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Gotcha. Cool. Okay. All righty. So we've talked about how long you guys have been doing music and in the music process, and a little bit about where the name of the band comes from. Um, let's obviously, get into, the question that everybody always asks bands or artists when you talk to people is, where do you get your inspirations from? So, like, is it, you know, particular stories in your own personal life, like with a lot of singers and songwriters and stuff, relies on personal history, but, you write a song about a movie or a book that you read, or where do the inspirations typically come from for you guys?
Like lyric wise,
Yeah, and even sonically.
well, music, at least starting from that point, like I will start with a feeling, just a core feeling or emotion, and then build on top of that. You know, but then other times I'll be thinking of, you know, the arc of a movie that I really like, and just something about the movie, and kind of meditate on it a little bit, and then make something with that, or sneak in a sample from it that's like really deep and distorted. And
Cool. Yep. Yep. Totally down with that.
I love darker, heavier music. So, of course, like our sound is probably not as dark as we want to get to yet, but we're on the path that way. So, like, there's a marked difference between our first album and our second album. It's a lot more dancey, a lot more in your face than the first album was, and we're headed down a path of a lot more heavy and dark sounds, which I love. So those things always appeal to me. Any bands that are doing really, I'm just going to repeat myself, but really
That's okay.
dark and dancey, industrial type music. I really am a sucker for that. So
Gotcha. Okay. And then lyric wise, when you were in school, did you do like, were you like an English major? Did you do poetry classes? Did, any of that kind of stuff that like kind of lent you to be a wordsmith in a way?
I struggle hard to write lyrics. I usually have empty brain syndrome, where I can't really think of anything. But if I keep working at it and maybe just get something down on the page, then I can find a place to work from. But I wouldn't say that I don't feel like a wordsmith. I feel like a wordsmith knows their craft and they can just pull it out of their head whenever they want and all that. But I'm just like, I don't know what to say anymore.
Well,
Where do I start?
you go with what you know, and you have very impactful lyrics. So I do obviously encourage everyone to check out your music, and check out what they used to call liner notes. You used to get the tape and you'd fold it out and it'd have all the lyrics and everything. Now you got to look it up on some lyrics finder website and hope somebody transcribed it properly. Or you're singing the wrong lyrics when you go see the band. So as I'm looking at you guys, I kind of get the answer to this next question that I've got. Do you guys have a home studio that you work out of? And what is your creation process like? Because I see the sound foam and things like that in the back. Yep. So.
Yep. This door here is our recording booth / closet. Over here, there's a keyboard, drum, digital drums, keyboards. It's not a wide enough frame, but yeah, synths, a guitar. So I don't know. Should I pan the camera around? Do you want to see?
It's entirely up to you.
Stuff.
All right. So, keyboard, there's a drum machine over there. Then we got more keyboards and all that stuff over here.
Right on. Very clean space. I am envious. I'm not going to pan my camera around. You do not want to see the nightmare around me. Yeah.
I wouldn't say it's that clean. I mean, the mess is all over here.
Yeah. It's just like when you're a kid and you have to clean your room. You stuff everything in the closet or you put it under a carpet. Somewhere out of sight, out of mind.
But yeah, how we do things. Usually, Justin will come up with a beat, and sometimes I'll play a synth part to it, or he'll add a synth part in. And then once we feel like we really like it, then we start to do more of the structural parts. And then after that, we will go to lyrics and then just try to get something, screw around a bunch of takes, just to see what things might not be, I don't know, something different that you're not used to doing, maybe.
Right.
Because when you're just winging it, you can come up with some really neat
And sometimes
accidents.
that's how we come up with some really cool stuff. It's just being a little, carefree, a little loose about it,
Yeah. This is a jam session, basically.
Yeah.
Gotcha. And then some bands, what they do to just so they can be a little bit regimented because they have to, is do you guys have a day of the week? Be like, okay, so Thursdays is studio day. We're going to sit down in here for an hour and just do something. Or is it just kind of more of an organic, it happens when it happens?
I would say I'm always working on something. So I bounce around from working on our music videos to creating, I don't know, I probably have 500 just random song pieces that are probably never going to go anywhere. But but sometimes I'll just go through the list and be like, hey, let's listen to that. But yeah, no, but we practice throughout the week, every week, even if we're not playing shows. We just like to keep sharp. So that's
what takes up more time than I would say, well, for me, it's way more practice than there is actual creating.
Right.
It's hard with technology and all of the posts you see. Everybody's coming out with a new track every day, and you're sometimes you feel like you're behind or you're not doing enough. But I just had to shut that out, and I want to make things that I really like, that we like, and in due time. I'm not worried about, hurrying up to put out 300 songs in a day or whatever. I I really like when there's some kind of piece or part of a song that we've worked on before that just didn't go anywhere, and then later, this is a PSA for don't throw things away.
Yeah,
Later you can find and work with something that
Right.
and you're like,
Yeah.
oh man, this is so cool now.
Yeah.
Those are my favorite moments.
well, and also like I think it's really good because some of the things like after a wreck that we were in, that like we had songs that we just weren't really working on. I mean, well, we were, but they didn't give us anything until then,
Gotcha.
so
Yeah.
it was just sort of like it changed how we felt about it.
Right. Yeah. 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 New life experiences that, colored your perspective on those thoughts from before. Yeah. Totally get it. So I'm just quickly jogging down my notes list here because I've got some interesting questions that I've been wanting to ask you guys. So we should probably talk about you guys have referred to a couple of times the accident that you had. Can you speak to that at all? Do you want to provide any details? It's entirely up to you guys as to what happened and the time frame. And from that, more importantly, not to focus on that terrible experience, but more so, how did you feel that impacted your music? What inspirations or, as we just said before, perspective changes did it give you?
Mm.
I can say what happened, but my memory of it is almost non-existent. I just know what I know from Justin and from police reports. But we came home from a gig in Columbus, and we were like halfway home, and we stopped at a Waffle House to just grab a bite to eat, since it was like the only place open. We were sitting in a parking lot eating, and out of nowhere, this drunk driver careens off the road, flies up the embankment, and catapults into us. It basically landed on Justin, but it blew our car from one side of the parking lot to the other. And I don't have any memory of that part or going to the hospital or anything. I know Justin had to be, you might want to take this.
Yeah, I mean, well, sorry, I'm trying to think in the timeline. Oh, okay, so yeah, we played the show. We went to get the food. Car hit us. Yeah, it was out of nowhere because we were just talking about how grateful we were for everything in our lives. That was like literally as it was happening. I had my mouth, I was just taking a bite,
Right. Yeah.
and this you just hear screeching metal. All of a sudden, you just get thrown, and I don't know. It was like hard to describe, but
Wow.
I knew that something was very wrong. Uh,
Yeah.
both of my legs were destroyed and pinned, uh, and they had to rebuild my legs essentially.
Wow.
I had like a giant laceration on this leg, and there was so much blood. The broken ribs, punctured lung. Um,
Broke your
Wow.
face.
yeah, severely broken cheekbone.
Yeah.
Had 5 pelvic fractures, and a nice head injury that now makes it difficult for me to remember much of anything. I have trouble with remembering stuff, and sometimes I get lost on my own lyrics. So that's kind of upsetting.
Right.
But you just find ways to work around that. You try to like set more reminders for yourself. Um, you try to remind each other of things you got to do. We were in the hospital for like a month,
Yep.
both of us trying to learn how to walk again. When we came home, we were in wheelchairs for a couple months after that.
Yep.
And the rage that I have for the situation really took like a front seat when it comes to lyrics and music, because we got really screwed by our insurance company, and the fact that a lot of drivers don't have insurance,
Right.
and we thought we had full coverage, and they never gave us underinsured or uninsured motorist coverage. So all the bills came to us,
Oh yeah.
and that guy walked out of the hospital within a day or so and had like virtually no injuries. So
We were really, it was really life threatening. I mean, it really was. Like, there for a while, like, I would wake up in the hospital and they would be coming in with the paddles, and
Oh
then I
yeah.
would wake up and I'd be like, "What's going on?" And they're like, "Your heart is failing, so we're here to bring you back if you die." And
Yeah.
I'm like, "Oh, okay. Uh, yeah, don't want that. I don't want,
Yeah. Glad you're here. Yeah. Wow. Jeez.
Yeah, so I mean, naturally we're gonna have some bitter feelings about it, but
Yeah. So from those
although we
intense,
have those, we still try and, point ourselves into the positive direction. I mean, of course,
yeah,
having these dark
Well-
experiences really do.
the anxiety I feel when I have to leave my house for any reason, like, we have this tour coming up, and I am just freaked out about how many hours we're going to have to be in the car, and how worried I get or anxious I get the whole time. And I'm trying to hold myself together so I'm not, flailing my arms in the car or
right.
something
Yeah.
like that. Like, it's changed our lives. It really has. And I'm glad that we're further away from it now than, it's just easier to get on with every day now that it's not like right in our faces. But yeah, I'm terrified to be in a vehicle, or even just sitting in a vehicle makes
Yeah.
me nervous.
Well, and that's the thing. It's like we also know there's, people who do want to see us out, and that's it's weird because it's not like our duty or anything. I mean, it's a healing process.
Yeah.
Getting out in front of people again, and it's um there's other people that's going through stuff too, and we've gotten a lot of very kind support from people since then, and we want to give back
Mhm.
to people for supporting us.
It sounds cliche, but we sometimes we are fortunate, if I dare use that word, to have some life events that kick us in the pants and make us really, really realize that you only got so much time. And for me personally, that was a year ago when my father died unexpectedly. And that has really driven home that, you only get so much time. In an American society, we believe, you go to school, you get out of school, you get a job. And it used to be you got a job and you stayed with that job and you got retired, but that doesn't happen anymore. Now you get a job and you work 14 other jobs over the course of your life. But anyhow, you retired and then you had, a couple decades to go drive around and see America, do the European vacation, things like that. But none of that is really guaranteed. And people are working longer and longer into their lives. So I understand. I can't relate. I've never been in that much physical trauma before in my life for that amount of pain, which, going back to the music, this second album is called A New Pain, and the album artwork is a shattered piece of glass. I'm assuming all of this is influenced from this experience that you guys had. How does that, like, there's Magic Pill, there's songs on the album that, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out that they would have these things in common. But can you speak a little bit more to some of the behind the scenes, deep under the lower layers of some of these songs, like where they came from, and if they do just, are direct raw feelings from this experience, or, did you throw a couple on there that you had, so you guys had, before, that you were planning on working on?
Yeah, it's like
it was sort of like I don't know, it's kind of weird because we already had some things in the works, and then the accident happened, and then we had more after that. So there are some songs that were kind of pre-worked in before that happened.
Okay.
So it's kind of a
before and
snapshot.
after,
It's
yeah.
kind of a snapshot of those things. And I think, what was I going to say? Sorry, I lost my train of thought.
Was
Okay.
it? Yeah, like she's saying, a snapshot really, because I mean, we were intending to go in to make like just a sort of, I don't know, almost sexy dance kind of album, but um, and it did not go that way.
Well,
So
you
yeah,
know, sometimes we have no idea where the art's going to take us, when we start on a project. And those are sometimes the best journeys. Because you step back and you're like, wow, I had no idea it was going to end up in this place.
so there's a hidden Easter egg, I guess,
Oh,
on the record is like on the interlude pieces, there's the actual 911 calls that we got and worked them into the record. So
I did
these
not.
are the actual, I mean, they're distorted and they're not like, but it's
You
the
can find
real
them on
deal.
the internet or something like that. Those are actual real things. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. That's pretty powerful. Wow. All right. So, moving away from the accident and more towards, there's this weird, 2, maybe 3 year time frame where everything in life kind of got put on pause for a lot of folks. Um, and we're talking obviously about the pandemic, and that kind of made some changes and impacts on the music business. A lot of artists, they couldn't go out and perform in front of people, and sometimes that's the juice for performers. That's what keeps them going and raw and performing night after night, is that energy. So when you're immediately cut off from all of that, and everybody's stuck in their house, a lot of that stuff I've noticed has started to bleed into the songs and the things that people are putting out, because of those isolation experiences. Um, we talked about, how the accident itself has obviously impacted your artwork. How has the process of creating it, like the business end of it, have you seen it change since pandemic and, just over these past few years? Because we've got things like Spotify and Bandcamp, YouTube Music. There's a lot of digital platforms, and I'm going to sound like a boomer, but people used to go listen on the radio, to hear new stuff. Or when I was growing up, it was, you listen to MTV, and that's where you saw the new music and things like that. 120 minutes, Headbangers Ball, all that kinds of stuff. With you spoke to this earlier, constant short, 24-hour news cycle attention span we've got now, where people are just pumping stuff out. How has that impacted you guys, and how have you seen that change, in making music over your 10 years?
We really didn't even start releasing music until like we intended to release it before the pandemic hit, like,
Okay.
but that was really when we started putting things out.
So we were at the very beginning of the pandemic when people were still very unsure what was going on, and we thought, we didn't have any idea what that was yet. But we put our like first music video out, and we still don't know everything there is to know about promoting yourself and trying to do different things like that, ads and whatnot. I know people recoil from that idea, but in this day, in this age, I think, I mean, even our first technical show was a live stream, and people really took on to Twitch, and there were lots of DJs, which we
Yep.
got really close with. They really got us through the pandemic, just being able to be in a forum with a bunch of people listening to the same stuff. It was just really, it was a breath of fresh air, honestly. And then as things started to get better with the pandemic, we were able to finally go out and play some real shows. And the first in-person show that we did was a battle of the bands in our own little city. And
It wasn't our crowd.
it was very strange, very I don't know, on the spectrum of what you can experience during a show, like the totally silent, the totally just sitting there, like just staring right through you.
Right.
That made me very uncomfortable.
Yeah.
But you know, the last time when we came to do a show there in Arkansas, and we still talk about it to this day, how involved and active and engaged the crowd was. That whole tour, that was the most wonderful experience. That right there was like, oh my goodness, it could be like that. We didn't know that it could be like that. So it was something, like I said, we talk about it all the time. We're like, man, down in Arkansas, they were really just all about it. And
Thank you.
it was a lot of fun.
And we were asked, I think that night, what was your favorite show on this tour so far? And we were just like, here. Yeah, this was the best. Yeah, this was so good.
Awesome. Well, flattery will get you everywhere on this show. And I greatly appreciate that. Because I've seen a lot of situations where, you know, the bands just flat out get screwed, you know, like, you know, here's a flat of beer for coming to play. You know, you just drove, you know, 10, 14, 20 hours to come here. You know, we're going to pay you in beer, you know, experience, you know, it's just such bullshit. And then, you know, some of these venues that want to cut a portion of your merch sales, that just astounds me too. But I digress. I won't get into my rant about bad venues and bad promoters out there, but we try to do our best with Club Nevermore, and I try to be an advocate for the bands to make sure that you guys get paid. You know, everybody that's involved should get paid for this. There is payment in what we do. You know, we make people happy. We put on a party. We like putting parties on and seeing everybody have fun. But you can't pay, you know, your rent and good vibes. So, you know, everybody needs to get paid for their artwork. So we talked about the business in the sense of how it pertains to you guys. And it sounds like you guys caught on, you know, the beginning of the wave when Bandcamp and Spotify and that isolation was starting to take hold. So there really wasn't an experience for you guys then of like having to find, you know, a label guy or a PR guy and have him try to, you know, hawk your CDs or things like that. It was digital right from the get-go, correct?
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And then physical.
And then physical. Now it, you know,
everybody was like, hey, where's the vinyl? So we're like, okay, we got vinyl now.
Yep.
It's so weird to see a vinyl of your own creation that it blows you away. You know, most people think it's just par for the course or whatever, but when you hold it in your hands, you're just like, oh, this thing exists. Oh my goodness.
I would imagine it gives you like this feeling of authenticity. It's like I'm an artist, you know. I have
Yeah.
physical art. Look, and yeah, I remember growing up as a kid. You know, you raid your parents' record supply, and you know, you take a look and play the different things, and hopefully you were careful and didn't screw them up. But you know, you listen to these songs and these albums, and it was just like, wow, you could hear the physicality, the hiss, and everything that would go on with the record stuff. And I remember growing up, you know, in the 80s and 90s, it just wasn't really easily attainable to have a record made. And now it's like you could do anything on the internet. You could have anything. You could have, you know, a shirt with your cat made on it, you know, for every day of the week, you know. So it's quite amazing the technology that we've had just in our lifetime. So
Yeah.
we talked about the business and the impacts that you guys have experienced with that. So now that you guys are starting the tour and getting back out on the road, what are the future plans for creating more music? Do you guys have another album already on the burner, or what's going on for some more?
We're always working on new things. Yeah, I mean, we definitely have another album in the works. I think I don't know. I'm not going to set a date. I don't want to tie myself to that, but we definitely have some things coming.
I'm really excited about those. They're a lot more in line with what we've
They're punchier, they're
working
fancy,
towards.
they're aggressive. I don't know. It's different, but it still sounds like some more.
Can we expect a new track that has been unreleased, performed live on this tour, possibly?
I don't think they're ready yet.
Okay. All righty.
But I will say that maybe the next tour. No,
Okay. That's
yeah,
fair.
no,
That's fair.
I do think we'll have. I don't know. I think we'll have some pretty well stuff that we've never played live before. Is definitely going to be on this tour. So yeah, I mean, I guess they're all kind of new to people for the most part. I mean, we're not huge, you know. So.
Okay. That's fair. That's honest. So wrapping up, give us a plug on where the best place is to find out about where you guys are playing and where you can actually hear your music.
Well, we have summore.net. That's a pretty good resource. It has all of our links, you know, and then all the socials, YouTube, Bandcamp. But yeah, all of our shows are going to be listed on the website and also the socials. We try to keep it everywhere.
Okay. And for those who are just listening, you know, they're making broccoli or something in the background and they're not really seeing what we're talking about or paid attention to the title of this video. It is summore.net. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. All righty. Was there anything else that you guys wanted to talk to the folks out there in internet land before we go here?
I just want to say thanks to anyone and everyone who puts on the events and the people that come out to the events. I know that this day and age, it's a lot easier to just focus on your phone and technology and that sort of stuff, and to come out and meet people in person. That is the coolest part of being on a tour. It's not even playing the songs, it's meeting amazing people.
Playing songs is fun too.
It is fun, but
we love
it's
meeting
like
people and
yeah, we want to meet people. So you know, thanks for to whoever comes out to shows and supports the scene. You guys are all awesome and amazing.
All right.
And we love you.
Yeah.
All righty. So we'll go out on feeling the love. So this had been a tongue-tied talk with Summore, with talking with 1029 here this evening. And we'll see if this becomes a regular thing. The big thing that we wanted to talk about specifically for my portion of the involvement of this tour is April 26th. It's a Friday. You guys will be playing at Vino's Brew Pub here in Little Rock, and we'll have some other bands on the bill. We've got Vampire Police and Clusters of Fornication. But the thing that is important to me that I really am happy you guys can be part of is this April will be the 5th anniversary of doing Club Nevermore. And it kind of slaps me in the face. And I keep thinking about it that we've been doing this for 5 years now. I've been living in Arkansas about 6. So that's a slap in the face to me too. I'm like, wow, because we moved out here from California. So I'm looking forward to it. This is going to be an amazing show. Vino's is a great venue. They have good sound in there. We're going to have an amazing light setup. Drandel, DJ Wilhelm, who you remember from Nevermore when you played with us, will be bringing his amazing light setup and everything. So you guys will have a fantastic light package to go with you guys. And then we'll be doing great sound. And the pizza, I have to say, at Vino's is amazing. It's amazing pizza. And if you guys are into craft brews and all that kinds of stuff, that's the place to be here in Little Rock, in my opinion. So I threw my plug in there for the 426 show. And then 427, you guys are going 2 hours away over to Dystopia in Memphis. And Graveyard Gloria, one of our other resident DJs, she also does double duty out there. She'll be DJing that show with you guys out there. So we're keeping it within our nice Gothic community family. And I want to thank you guys again for sitting down with me tonight and talking about this stuff. Some of the stuff, I'm positive was difficult to speak about, and I really thank you for talking with us about that. So we look forward to seeing you guys on tour, and thank you again.
Thank you so much. It was all our pleasure.
All right.